We're joined from Cairo by Dr. Khaled Saad, the Director General of the General Department of Prehistoric Antiquities, the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. Welcome to Q News, sir. For the record, can you confirm in your capacity at the Ministry that the Grand Egyptian Museum is wholly state-owned and operated under Egyptian Antiquities Authority?
Of course, the Grand Egyptian Museum is wholly under the authority of the Egyptian administration and under the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, and then it also has a conservatory institution that is related to also the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities.
Now, in prehistoric antiquities perspective, how will the gem present Egypt's earliest heritage, the sites, the tools, the human remains, and what Egyptian-led research programs are planned for that?
Of course, the Supreme Council of Antiquities had lots of archaeological research, and it is showing a large number of antiquities and statues and so on. And lately we had a new declaration, which is the Human Culture in Egypt program, and lots of artifacts that have to do with this era were displayed. And these artifacts go back to 700,000 years. And also we had a map in coordination with the UNESCO in Cairo and the geological, and we had around 106 areas that go back to those prehistoric to this prehistoric era. And this is in addition to the Grand Egyptian Museum having thousands of artifacts that go back a million years.
Mr. Saad, what provenance and documentation measures is the ministry using to protect the prehistoric collections and prevent the illicit trafficking or mislabeling?
Of course, the antiquities, I want to make something clear here when it comes to the artifacts leaving their land legally. We have two ways for that. The legal way, which is this artifact leaving through an archaeological Egyptian mission or something like that, that goes back to some kind of institution that has to do with the archaeology. And then we have the illicit trafficking. This is the second option, and this is people maybe like finding some artifacts either by chance or getting them in an illegal way, and this is where we take legal action. And there was a resolution prohibiting trafficking of statues and artifacts and having them gotten out of Egypt. And then when it comes to the artifacts here in Egypt, they are labeled immediately after being found, and then they are moved to the archive, and this label goes back to the ministry, and then they are displayed in Egyptian Museum, and they have their own cards that say how they were made or what era they are from, what's written on them, what it says, their size, everything, all the details that have to do with it.
So what are your department's priorities for Egyptian capacity building, the training conservators, archaeologists and curators in prehistoric studies, using obviously the GEMS labs and facilities?
Of course, here the administration has been going on for around 25 years, and we had lots of discovering to the pre-dynastic era, and lots of and then the as I said, prehistoric and pre-dynastic era, and we discovered a giant number, which is around 450,000 artifacts were discovered, and we labeled them and made sure they are safe and sound in the museum's archive. And then there was some kind of museum show to pick what could be displayed in the museums, so that they can be transferred to one of the Egyptian museum. And then me myself here, the speaker, I have some kind of school and research on these statues, and I get the people to get to know more. They have some kind of training to get to know more about the area they are interested in, and the student is given a certificate that allows him or her to work in places that has artifacts. And then we start to search for the or label the statues that have changed Egypt's history, basically. And we had a scientific department for these sites, and they don't have just the tools, but they even have the beliefs and how they can be read, and tying it to the Egyptian heritage. And lately we had discovered some caves like Tor Mahana in Saint Catherine, and also Sadamin in Qusayr, and many more caves in Wadi Sulaiman.
Dr. Saad, what is the ministry's current strategy for repatriating prehistoric artifacts taken abroad? How does provenance research at GEM support those cases?
Of course, Egypt had some measures, and we got back around 25,000 artifacts from museum, and some kind of coordination between Egypt and or between Egypt and museum, or between the Supreme Council for Antiquities and Museum. And it was diverse, and we had statues and pottery, even human remains, and that the pottery had claimed before. But Egypt has lots and lots of areas that are around 36 areas that has artifacts to go back to the prehistoric era, and it is the largest country in the world to have this many prehistoric related areas. And we have, as I said, statues and other artifacts that go back to the prehistoric era, and also up till the pre-dynastic era. And the amount of artifacts and statues that we have found is enough to have to found more than 20 museums dedicated only to the prehistoric era in Egypt. But the financials are what's keeping us from founding the largest in the world museum for the prehistoric artifact. But we are working on it to have it founded through having some funding and sponsors. But when it comes to the artifacts that left Egypt in the prehistoric era, we can say that we already have a very large number of these artifacts and statues.
Yes.
And so Egypt doesn't have to ask for them.
Yes, and maybe the next big event would be the inauguration of the Prehistoric Museum from Cairo. That was Dr. Khaled Saad, the Director General of the General Department of Prehistoric Antiquities at the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here on Q News.